Hi, I'm Mike King of Recruit King Executive Search Firm, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the biggest mistakes that companies make when hiring new employees. That mistake is not having a defined process across all departments and allowing too many stakeholders to be involved with the interviews. And it really has effects on company productivity, attracting good talent, and third would be making sure that you've got strong engagement levels within your current employee base. I noticed this problem becoming more of an issue during the recession. And what was happening was that a lot of companies were reducing their headcount, budgets were being slashed, and employees were forced to do more with less. And as a result, hiring managers started to bring in more colleagues and other company stakeholders into the interview process to help reduce the risk of a bad hire. So it was with good intentions, but as a result, there are some significant issues that arise from it. So why don't we start with the productivity aspect? So Brendan Brown, the VP of Talent Acquisition for LinkedIn, says that he's got a statistic that it takes on average 20 hours for a company to spend during the interview process. So 20 company hours in interviews for every new prospect that is to be hired. So you can imagine there are some companies that are even well beyond that 20, which is already a significant number. I also read a stat that stated that for every 60 minutes that an employee is pulled away during an interview process, so a 30 to 60 minute interview, it actually takes out 90 minutes of that person's workday. So the productivity removing from them from their own desk actually takes 90 minutes until they get back to what they were doing before they were disrupted. So that's pretty significant. And if you can imagine that happening across all departments within an organization, it is a pretty staggering number in terms of lost product time. Secondly, let's talk about the engagement process. So really trying to attract new employees and the people that you're interviewing. The best candidates, as we all know, are the passive candidates, the ones that are not currently looking for work. So they're not actively looking on job boards, and for a process to take 4 to 5 interviews and to meet up to 12 employees, it's not an attractive offering for them. So you really need to think closely about the process here for making sure that you're able to attract that best talent. Often candidates will tell me that they made that mistake once before in getting involved with a process and it takes too long, and only to find an offer at the end that is well below expectations. And they often will tell me, I'm not doing that again, Mike. It was too much of a process. I need to know what's happening and what the dollar figure is right from the get-go before I continue to waste any more time. And not just the time involvement is a turnoff for them, but it also affects their image of the company. So if they think the company is taking too long to make decisions, it can become a real issue, because really what they're looking for is a company that's progressive, and a long drawn out process where a company looks like they're unsure of themselves is not an inspiring quality for a company to be showcasing. Lastly, let's talk about employee engagement of your current employee base. So these are the people that you are disturbing their work and pulling them into interviews. I mentioned the previous stat, but work-life balance is such a key metric, and it's the #1 indicator for people wanting to leave their positions. If they feel like they're not getting enough work done and too much time is being carried over into their family time because it wasn't completed during the day, this is definitely an engagement issue. So not only are we talking about the hours they're spending in interviews for maybe hires that aren't even directly affecting them or related to them, but the other thing is they're already often doing double duty in terms of their job descriptions as well. They're filling in for empty holes in a company. So they're already taxed to the max. So you really need to consider making sure that your current team is comfortable and really only bring in people into the interview process that really need to be there. So my tips would be to, #1, empower your hiring managers to make the decisions. Let them have a couple of stakeholders or a couple of colleagues that can come into the process, but really limit the number and ask yourself the serious questions about who really needs to be attending these interviews. So the second piece would be make sure that process is identified across all functional units of the organization. So every single department is running the same way and using the same process. That really will ramp up the productivity within the company overall. Limit the stakeholders. And finally, if you're really having trouble finding someone, or the hole is taking too long to fill, the process is taking too long, you're finding that your offers are being turned down, hire a headhunter or a recruiter that you trust to fill the role, because what will happen is that they can take a lot of those responsibilities off of your desk and really allow you to focus on what's important, and that's running and managing the business. And what you'll find often is that not only are those 20 hours reduced, but there'll be no issues in terms of compensation, no surprises at the end of the offer process, and a much tighter and efficient hiring process altogether. I've got this entire podcast on my blog if you prefer a written version. RecruitKing.ca blog or ExecutiveSearchKing.com will also take you to that site. Please let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to email me if there's some topics that you want me to cover, Mike@RecruitKing.ca. Thanks so much.